So Veg.Edible is fully vegan, gluten-free. We don't use nuts except for coconut, and we have soy-free options for everything. Our mission is to provide safe and delicious food for everyone. Like you said, it's just great food. So we are very inclusive. We work with customers if they can't have tomato or they can't have onion. We're a safe place that people can come and we can feed you.
Hey there, Omaha. Welcome into another episode of Restaurant Hoppen. I'm your host, Dan Hoppen, and vegan diets and gluten-free diets are becoming more popular, I think, in the United States as people look for ways to eat healthier and to adhere to their dietary restrictions. And I think it's great to see restaurants that are starting to put more effort into their vegan offerings. But Omaha doesn't have a ton of restaurants that are like really vegan focused and leaning into it. But the people that I have today are totally doing that. This is Stacie Van Cleave and Matt Hyde from Veg.Edible. Guys, you were on the show a couple of years ago, but so much has changed. You're back. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having us, Dan. Yes, definitely a lot of growth. It's been how long?
It was October of 2022.
Okay.
So
we're going
it's been
into
2 years.
2025.
Yes. So, I mean, like, we're talking, your brand has grown a ton. You're in a brick and mortar now.
Yes.
You just served dinner to one of the biggest pop stars in America.
We did.
And we're going to get to all of that very soon. But I just want to say right off the bat, like, I know that there are some people who are going to see this episode and see, like, vegan food and everything and just immediately turn their noses up at it and say, that's not for me. And if that's you, that's fine. Like, I am accepting of all opinions. I'm just going to throw this out there. I don't have any dietary restrictions. I'm not vegan, and I love eating at this place or picking up baked goods there. I still say that barbecue jackfruit sandwich you guys have on the menu, that is better than many pulled pork sandwiches you'll find in Omaha.
Thank you.
So I just want to throw that out right off the bat. This is just, like, people love to put food into buckets sometimes, and they're like, well, that's vegan food. Sometimes food is food, and food is great. So it's just great food.
Yeah.
So I want to start just by kind of allowing you guys to talk about your mission. What is the mission behind Veg.Edible, and what are you trying to do with your restaurant?
So Veg.Edible is fully vegan, gluten-free. We don't use nuts except for coconut, and we have soy-free options for everything. Our mission is to provide safe and delicious food for everyone. Like you said, it's just great food. So we are very inclusive. We work with customers if they can't have tomato or they can't have onion. We're a safe place that people can come and we can feed you.
Stacie, you've been a vegan for about a decade. I think a little less than a decade now.
My vegan-versary was yesterday.
How many years?
9.
Okay, 9 years. I
Yes.
thought it was less than a decade. Okay, there we go. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I know that this is a change that you made in your life because of some health concerns. How have you seen this diet change things for you, and how has that inspired you to make that same difference in the lives of others?
So I have asthma, so very bad. You'll probably see me like out of breath just talking. That's why I went vegan. And it's uncomfortable to have like physical reactions to food. My asthma is like allergy induced. So if I eat something I'm allergic to, I have an asthma attack. It's not fun. So I know the struggles of people's physical, if they eat something they can't have, they get really sick.
And how did that inspire you, like, to open Veg.Edible? Because a lot of people would just say, okay, this is a change I need to make in my life. Okay, made that change. But you went to that next step and you're like, this has been huge for me. I want to be this for other people. What made you want to do that?
Having to tell people no so much in previous jobs.
Like, I've worked at places where it's not taken seriously, or there's not a lot of options, and I wanted to give people a place to come where they feel safe.
And Matt, how did you get into this project? Because you don't have the same restrictions, but you've become kind of the chef at Veg.Edible. I mean, Stacie's putting out all the time on social media. Chef Matt came up with, this special. What got you into this?
Well, I came up with the name. The whole idea started at a party at my old house, and we were hanging out and dreaming of things we wanted to do in the future. And
we were both sick of working for someone else.
It became a reality maybe a year later.
Yeah, he has more food experience than I do. Combined, it's just ridiculous how much food experience that we have. And I have more of the front of house, the operations, the not so fun stuff, I guess, the not so hands-on stuff. I've got a lot of manager experience, and he has just worked in every single kitchen and every single cuisine all over the place. And he has very valuable experience.
So when you take those experiences working in all the different kitchens, is it what is it like taking those dishes that people, come to expect at those other restaurants and translating them into vegan dishes or gluten-free dishes that can't use nuts? Is that challenging? Is it invigorating? Is it all the above?
I always say he's like the meats and cheese guy, because I never really ate meat or cheese. And I can't remember, what things are supposed to taste like. That's really hard for me. How am I supposed to come up with something if I don't remember what it's supposed to taste like? And he remembers, and he knows how to prepare lots of meats and cheeses. So I think that's your forte at the restaurant, is mimicking meats and cheeses.
Yeah. A common phrase in our kitchen is, "Will this work?" We're just talking about things and throwing ideas off each other, and
we have so many ideas all the time, but we are so limited. You've seen the size of our kitchen.
It's very small.
I think it's, if you laid Matt down on the floor, I think it's smaller than he is tall. So we would love to do all these crazy things that we talk about all the time, but we are very limited in our space, but we're always expanding our menu. It's grown quite a bit.
It's pretty big.
It's huge.
And I want to get into that. And you guys, I would encourage anyone listening to follow Veg.Edible on social media, because you guys, yes, you have a smaller kitchen, so you can't have as big of a menu as you'd like, but you do run specials. Mm-hmm. So it's good to follow on social media so you can stay up to date on everything that's going on.
Yeah.
I also should note, we've talked about the brick and mortar. You guys are located just off 61st and Maple.
Correct.
So I'd like to give out the address so people know where to go. Matt, we talk about finding ways to mimic meats and cheeses and other things that people might recognize, but that fit into what Veg.Edible wants to offer. What are some of the keys to doing that? Or I don't want to use the word hack because that makes it sound bad, but some common ways that you've found where you can take those textures and maybe even flavors of meat and cheese and incorporate them into something that doesn't have either of those things.
I'll say there's not any really one trick for doing these kind of things, but the key I've found, or at least what has worked out for us having good dishes, is an unwavering sense of perfectionism. It has to be right.
Consistency.
We don't want to offer someone something like, hey, this might, for you, replace a certain thing, or imitate a certain thing that you remember or you want to have, but you can't. And we don't want to offer people those experiences and not have it great.
I feel like with vegan food, gluten-free food, oftentimes it's not very good. And we don't want to be the place that gives somebody a reason to think that tofu tastes like a sponge. Because it doesn't. I mean, if you cook it wrong, yeah.
Yeah, I think, unfortunately, vegan food gets a bad rap because a lot of restaurants, and again, like I said off the top, I think this is changing because there are restaurants that are putting more effort into their vegan dishes, but I think a lot of restaurants have their menu, and now they realize, okay, people are starting to embrace vegan and vegetarian diets. Okay, we got to throw a couple, a tofu sandwich or something with seitan or something, at the bottom of the menu, but it's kind of an afterthought.
Mm-hmm.
You guys have gone all in and said, no, this isn't the afterthought. This is going to be the core of our business. And we really want to emphasize just how delicious this food can be. So, I mean, tell me, like, some of these things that people might not be huge fans of, or they might turn their noses at: tofu, jackfruit, seitan. Like, what makes these great proteins and great protein substitutes to incorporate in your dishes?
It's a process of making everything. Like the tofu chicken that we make, it's like a 2-day process. It freeze it, unfreeze it, it marinates it. It goes through a lot of labor, a lot of hands-on work. We use jackfruit, which thankfully we don't process jackfruits at the shop. Have you ever seen a jackfruit?
They're enormous.
Yeah, it's like this really big, weird shaped melon thing. You can find them at the Asian market.
Uh-huh.
We don't process that by hand. It comes just purely jackfruit in a bag. We have falafel, and then we also use Beyond Meat, which we have gotten some heat about using Beyond Meat products because people are afraid of like over-processed foods, or I don't know what's in that, or it's the like fake beef,
Good concerns to have.
Yeah. If you listen to the media and blah, 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 you might hear things that aren't necessarily true about Beyond Meat. And it has gotten a lot better over the years. And if you don't like Beyond Meat, that's okay. We have other things.
Well, I know that's something that is very important to you guys, is just having that transparency and letting people know everything that goes into their food. And I think that that's something that is becoming a lot more important to Americans, and a lot of people don't pay attention, but some people are starting to, like, when they go to the grocery store, they look at the back label and, there's 50 ingredients in this thing and I can't pronounce 20 of them. Like,
it's a problem.
Maybe this is bad. Like, I had a chef friend who recently went to Europe for 10 days or something, and he said he came back, and after like one day of eating in America, he was just like sick as a dog on his couch because of all the processed food that we have. I mean, what is the importance of being transparent about what goes into your food, and what do you guys do to avoid using all those unpronounceable things?
Yeah. Vegetables are vegetables. Carrots have one ingredient. We incorporate a lot of vegetables into our dishes.
Personally for me, it was more of like I'm personally more like on the ethical side.
I actually have food allergies.
It just goes back to how even like a whole food has things inside of it, like microplastics and whatnot, and
whatever it was sprayed with in the field,
Even to be the most diligent, like, you're still at risk for encountering things you don't want to encounter. And that was just like all the more inspiration.
Yeah, ingredient transparency has always been like the number one thing for us. Like, everybody can make their own choices, but if you want to know what's in your food, I can tell you. I would like to know what's in my food when I go places, and they can't ever tell me.
Which is kind of scary.
Kind of weird.
Yeah.
Like, you don't know what's in this? You should know what's in your food. The Europe thing, that comes up often with gluten-free, because we have customers that cannot have wheat grown in the United States because of what we spray on it, but they can eat European flour. It's just different. It's processed different.
And, I mean, that little fact right there, that's something that 99.9997% of Americans have no idea.
Yeah, kind of a big red flag, though. Why are we putting stuff in our food that makes us sick?
And you guys take it back to, like you said, vegetables, one ingredient.
Yeah.
that keeps it simple. Like, not everything, but a good % of what you guys are putting on the menu is made in that kitchen, small as it is. And that allows you to have that transparency. You can tell people, yes, I know what went into this dish because I made it.
Yeah.
And I think that goes a long way towards building just a solid fan base and having people understand.
Yeah. Like we had Taco Tuesday last night. We do 2 tacos for $8 on Tuesdays. You get to pick your protein, your sauce, and we came to the realization last night that our tacos are oil-free. If you get the tofu chicken that we make in-house, there's no oil added to that. Comes with lettuce and onion and cilantro in a corn tortilla. And you can add brown rice and black beans. Ta-da! A really healthy meal. Mm-hmm. But it's tacos.
I found a quote from you, Stacie, from a little while ago. But you said, there's a demand for what we do. Omaha's a little behind the times in terms of accommodation. I just wanted to set the tone for having a welcoming environment to anybody to have a good plate of food that won't make them sick. How have you guys seen Omaha respond to the concept of Veg.Edible, especially in the last year since you've been in your brick and mortar?
I would say the most dedicated support, some of the most dedicated support we have are not even vegan people. They just are people with severe restrictions, or just they have their own personal reasons to not want things in their food, and they choose to spend their money with us 2, 3, 4, 6, 7 times a week.
Yeah, we have a lot of regulars.
Oh, wow.
That's not an exaggeration.
No, sometimes we see the same person twice.
In a day?
In a day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They came for lunch and then they came back for a slice of cake.
Pretty loyal fans right there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Extremely.
And we get questions from other restaurants in Omaha. Like, Omaha is so lucky for the foodie scene here. Like, we are top tier. I don't want to move anywhere because nobody has a city like Omaha. We get questions from other restaurants. Hey, we're thinking of putting this on the menu for a vegan option. Do you have any cheese recommendations? Do you think tofu protein would be good, or should we do black bean instead? We get messages like that, and that feels really good to us because we have it figured out, and I always want to help other people figure it out.
How encouraging is that for you to see that other restaurants are putting in the effort now, and that maybe that attitude towards, let's just throw some vegan things on the bottom of the menu might be starting to change a little bit?
Yeah, it's really nice to see. That quote is probably from 4 or 5 years ago.
It might be a little old.
Yeah.
I went way back.
Yeah, it might be a little old because that's how I felt at the time. But really, in the last year, we've seen so many places add great vegan options to the menu.
And I want to go back to what you said, Matt, because you were saying, yes, there are a lot of vegan diners who come in, but there are also people who have sensitivities who going out to eat can be kind of a wild card because A, they don't know what's in their food, and B, they don't know, even if they know what is in their particular dish, they don't know what was in the dish that was prepared next to theirs.
Sure.
And I know cross-contamination is something that you've talked a lot about, Stacie, and it's a problem in the restaurant industry. Can you kind of pull back the curtain and just talk about A, why that's dangerous, and B, what you guys do to make sure you know what's going in each and every dish?
Well, the cross-contamination is especially a real concern, even more so this year compared to when Stacie said that quote. People are developing allergies all of a sudden now, and people are waking up to the fact that certain things they're eating are making them feel this way, and I don't know. It's going out being a customer in the food business. You see things and you experience things, and the real genuine experience just kind of hits that much harder these days. And even sometimes when you find a good experience or a good place, everything's just so very temporary in the food world. People have just seemed to latch on to the safety aspect of it, I guess.
We have so many customers with wild allergies, that you wouldn't even think they would You wouldn't even think somebody would be allergic, like oregano.
Really?
Yeah, we have a regular that is severely allergic to oregano. So we stopped putting oregano in our soup. Super easy change. Doesn't really make that much of a difference, but now she can have soup anytime she wants. So I think doing little things like that maybe isn't feasible in a giant restaurant with 12 line cooks and a 300-person dining room, because there's just so much more room for error. If you touch something with a glove that is, say you grab a loaf of bread and then you turn around and make something for somebody that has a gluten intolerance or has celiac, like that's not going to be okay. So our tiny kitchen and just us with our little team, we don't make room for error. Everything is dedicated. All the ingredients are checked. So keeping it small, I think that we have an advantage over larger operations. But hopefully they can figure out systems and put things into place to prepare dishes safely.
That is really interesting, because I think the first thing that most people think about with really any business, but restaurants too, is growth. How are you growing? How can you grow? How can you add? But like you said, there's an advantage for you guys in staying small, because you see like everything.
I buy everything.
Yeah, you buy everything. Everything that's in your kitchen is on display right there. If somebody comes in and says, I can't have oregano in my soup, you can be like, okay, we can make that adjustment very easily. Whereas a restaurant that is mass producing that soup for 100 diners might have it that night, might just say, oh, okay, then you have to choose something else on the menu. And some diners are used to that, but that doesn't feel great, especially if your allergies completely out of your hands.
Yeah. And like a lot of big places have contracts, with food providers. If we need to switch ingredients, we just do.
Okay, let's talk about the menu, especially as you guys built it out for the brick and mortar. You've got a lot of burgers, sandwiches. You mentioned tacos. You can build your own bowl. Not even getting into the baked goods yet. We will get there. But as you guys, you operated as a pop-up for several years, and now you get this space where, yes, the kitchen is small, but it's your kitchen, and you're not having to operate out of kitchen council and transfer everything, but you have your kitchen. How did you design the menu and, figure out, here's what we need to have?
So I never wanted to be like a burger and fry place. I never envisioned Veg.Edible to be that, but I'm so on board with it now, like loaded fries and burgers, yes. And turns out that's what people want. So we have added a bunch of burger variations. 2 of the sandwiches are named after our cats, by the way.
Really?
Yeah, the Ruby and the Sophie. Those are 2 of our 3 cats. And Matt just keeps coming up with stuff. He's just full of he's full of ideas. And if it's as simple as another sauce and another burger topping, that's feasible for us in our tiny kitchen. So we really expanded our burger and sandwich lineup. Loaded fries. Have you had our fries? You've had our fries.
I've had the fries, yeah. I know those babies are hand cut. They're fried.
Matt smashes. I physically can't even smash our fries because the potatoes are they're ginormous. So he smashes every fry.
Well, it's something we struggled with a little bit in the beginning, finding things that will get people in the door, but we can also churn out quick in our limited amount of space.
We don't do pasta. We don't do any noodles. We don't have room for noodles. We just, the layout does not work. That's not something we'll ever have. We can't mass produce it on a quality level.
And we just simply, we don't have the help. Even if we did, we don't have, there's not enough space for people to be there to be helping.
Prepping in the lobby.
So, we've kind of had to fall into a little niche spot, and it seems to have worked out because people keep showing up, and we get ideas from our customers sometimes too.
So many, like the garlic Parmesan chicken fries. Customer came in one day and was like, I'm really craving something with like tofu chicken and like cheese. Like, do you have garlic Parmesan? And I was like, yeah, we do. And we ran it as a special the next day, and now it's on the menu. Garlic aioli, our house-made Parmesan cheese, tofu chicken, scallion, like on fries. Who doesn't want that?
I mean, something that I've loved hearing you say several times throughout this conversation is how you listen to customers.
Yes.
And when they come in and they ask for something or they have an idea, it's not just like, oh, yeah, we could maybe do that someday and, you know, shove them out the door. But you're actually going, you know what? Maybe we could incorporate that. Or maybe this soup doesn't need oregano. How did you learn to adopt that, like, feeling and strategy towards customers, that these aren't just, you know, people who are giving us money, but they're people who have legitimate ideas that might be able to help us?
I'm a customer service guru. I love, Matt yells at me because I will talk to you forever about food and what are you allergic to? Hey, what are you, you know? I love it. I love the connection and just I'm the person you talk to when you order. I love that. If somebody wants to support my business with an idea, yeah, I'm going to listen to it. That's so important. If a customer is like, hey, I want to give you money. Yeah, I want to make something that you're going to buy. But more importantly, I'm going to make something that you're going to like and that you can eat safely and that you're going to crave and come back. You know, that's the cycle of business. You make a product somebody really wants, and then they buy it and they come back. Super simple.
Okay, I want to get back to kind of the evolution of the menu, because you guys talked about it. You kind of struggled to find your niche a little bit at the beginning. Now, if I was telling a friend, like, I've got this awesome vegan, gluten-free restaurant, try and guess what their main food is. I don't think burgers and loaded fries would probably be at the top of the list, and yet you guys are making it happen. How did you kind of figure out and learn that was the niche that people in Omaha wanted? They wanted vegan burgers and fries.
I think we struggled at first because we did so much. We were doing pop-ups and we would do a different menu every time. We would come up with we would just do everything. So narrowing it down to a 2-page menu.
It was a bit of a process and trial by fire. It took me getting my butt kicked a few times to fully embrace what I thought was, or what I felt was going to help the operation run smoother, and luckily it's worked out. We're just getting more creative with like the simpler things, and people are receptive.
How difficult is it for you, Matt? Because Stacie, you talked about how creative you are, and you've worked at all these different restaurants, so you have a lot of experiences in different cuisines. And I'm sure if you just were able to make whatever you wanted, that menu would be a lot bigger. But you've got to rein it in and say, you know, we got to keep this thing to a 2-page menu. How difficult is that for you?
It's funny. I'm actually the complete opposite.
Really?
Yep. Stacie will tell you I'm kind of a minimalist. I think, to me, the most important aspect is the good experience, and being able to provide the good experience means doing simple things really well. And if it was just completely up to me, I feel like our menu would look way, way different.
Yeah.
It's what we have now is really just the result of years-long collaboration and arguments and misunderstandings and miscommunications that just, grew over the years, and we are where we are now, and I'm happy with it. I'm actually really happy with our menu right now. I might not have said that every day of the last few months, but where we are now, I'm
How
pretty
he
good.
does everything, I can't do what he does. If you've ever come in at 6:00 on a Friday night on Benson First Friday, and we have a line out the door, and Matt has 30 tickets on this tiny rail, he's in the zone. Like, people say, "Hey Matt, how's it going?" Nothing, no response. He is in the zone, cranking everything out. 20 minutes is ticket time is 20 minutes. Like, no matter how busy we are, he gets the food out hot exactly the way they ordered it. Say they have a bunch of modifications, no problem. We can leave the onions off.
I do make mistakes sometimes.
He messes up sometimes.
Everyone does. That's okay.
Every once in a while. But, like, how he consistently cranks everything out accurately blows my mind.
So, Matt, you said something that was really interesting there. You said you're really happy with where the menu's at right now, which is something you probably wouldn't have said a couple months ago. What has been that? What caused that change for you? What sparked that evolution in your mind?
More of an emphasis on the burgers and the fries and not trying to reinvent the wheel, I guess.
Yeah, me over here on Pinterest, like, hey, how about we do a Greek blah, blah, just coming up with ideas that I think that people would love. Are they going to buy us out of it every week? Probably not. Does it involve a lot of different ingredients and a lot of labor? Yeah. Is it something that we can actually crank out? No, it's not. But he loves me. So we put it on the menu, and guess what? I was wrong, and it's not on the menu anymore.
A few different things, but yeah,
that's one of them.
That's the gist. It's constantly a learning process. Everything we have, like, when we put something on the menu, that's us workshopping it.
Yeah.
We're like, all right, let's see how this goes.
It might have like 2 or 3 changes over the. Our menu is always changing.
It really is.
Always changing, like with the seasons, with things that we can't get anymore. Like our shrimp, RIP to New Wave Shrimp. They filed bankruptcy and just disappeared, and we don't have shrimp anymore. So that happens all the time.
But that's part of the restaurant industry.
Part of the restaurant.
I mean, you just constantly got to be ready to pivot and adjust, and you guys are doing that. You've leaned into kind of the burger and fries concept. But we got to talk about baked goods, because that's a huge part of the business too. And it's so interesting. I found another quote from you, maybe super old again, I don't know, but I think this one applies. Mm-hmm. It's evergreen. You said, "I didn't have plans to bake, but people kept asking for cakes and cookies, so I figured it out, and I figured it out really well." What are the challenges that come with baking vegan and dairy-free?
It's hard. It is straight science. Like, it is not follow the back of the box recipe. It is not that. It is, what temperature is it? What's the humidity like? Was your butter in the fridge for 2 hours longer than it should? Like, there are so many things. It is straight up science. I think the most difficult thing is getting people to trust you that it is going to taste good, because they've had things that don't taste good. Vegan, one thing. Gluten-free, whole nother thing. Vegan, gluten-free, no nuts, and soy-free. It's an entire different world. But it tastes good, because I did figure it out. Constantly figuring things out. I am not a baker. I never intended to sell cakes. I have made cookies like twice in my life before owning this business, which is so weird to say, because I very much enjoy it now. I love figuring out recipes, like that oatmeal raisin cookie that I brought you.
I'm excited to try it.
It's very good.
And I can very much vouch for, I've got a cake slice over there that she brought in. I absolutely love your cakes, adore them. And again, not vegan or anything. It's just great food. But what was that crash course like for you? You say
expensive,
Oh, yeah.
So expensive.
Take me through. Are you just buying stuff and experimenting all the time? Yeah.
Yeah. I look at recipes on the internet, right? Because like you kind of have to know where to start in some way. I don't just like throw things in a bowl and then it comes out perfect the first time. It's not like that. It's not magic. It's science. I get ideas, but the recipe on the internet is never what I can follow because of all of the allergens that we avoid. The weight of things is weighed, like gluten-free flour weighs different than regular flour. You can't measure by weight. You just can't follow a recipe like you normally would. It is very expensive. If you mess up and it goes in the trash, like that was a very expensive learning experience, but that's how I figure it out. So it has to be done. Thankfully, I've learned a lot of important things not to do over the years. I've learned my oven. Ovens are different. It runs different than the dial is set to. There's hot spots. Just time and experimenting, and Matt's always like, hey, will you make a peanut butter and jelly cookie with like sunflower butter? That's still on my to-do list.
Peanut butter flavoring.
Yeah.
Not sunflower butter.
Okay. That's how we're going to make it. He's always coming up with stuff. He's got a sweet tooth.
I'm not like asking to look at your sales sheet like specifically, but like what percent would you say is sweet versus savory? Because I know that the bakery is a huge part of the business now.
Yes, I am very glad that I built the business the way it is, because we would not survive as just a bakery or just a restaurant. I think times have changed so much that it's not feasible to be just one or the other anymore. Everybody that comes in and gets dinner gets dessert to go. That's just how it is. Holidays, cookies, Christmas. Oh my God, I've made so many cookies.
We're recording this on December 18th. I cannot even imagine how many cookies you've made over the last couple weeks.
So many cookies, and we just got out of Thanksgiving. That was just a ridiculous amount of food. Just mashed potatoes and meatloaf and all the traditional food. So we have heavier kitchen work sometimes than heavier bakery time. Like it's never 50-50, but it changes all the time.
What is it like for you guys to have someone come in and whether it's they say, I haven't been able to have a chocolate chip cookie in X number of years, or man, I had to go vegan a couple years ago. I've been craving a burger. This is better than anything I've had in years. What is that feeling like for you guys?
That's my why. That's my why. That is why I work 80 hours a week. To see a kid come in. So many times we'll have a kid and a parent come in, and the kid will just get so wide-eyed, and then I'll see them get sad because they know they can't have that. It looks so good, but they can't have it. And the parent will say, you can have anything. And the kid will say, no, I can't have nuts. Like they know what to say. And the parents will just reassure them, you can have anything. It's safe. That's why.
So you started Veg.Edible in 2020.
Yeah.
And yeah, crazy that we're going on 4 years now. You had 56 pop-ups in your first year. I mean,
how many weeks are in a year? Because that's,
52.
Yep.
So you guys are doing more than one a week.
Yep.
But in 2023, that's when you moved into your brick and mortar space. I want to go back a little bit. So you're operating as a pop-up. You're starting to get pretty successful. You were doing stuff in Chef Around the Block. Or you were all over the place. Mm-hmm. At what point did you start looking for a brick and mortar and say, this is our logical next step?
I think it would have been like May of 2024. No, 2023. Oh, God, it's so time. Like May of 2023, we were like, done working in a shared kitchen. It was either we find a space or I'm closing the business. Like, I don't want to do this anymore. We live 25 minutes from kitchen council twice a day, more than twice a day. The drive, too much. We had hit it, and we either had to find a space or we were just going to stop. Not give up, just call it. So we went through like 6 different potential situations where we could get into a brick and mortar, and just nothing worked out. Places ended up closing. The rent was way higher than they originally told me. We figured out the location wasn't the best for us. One place didn't want a vegan place. That was interesting. You won't do well. You're a vegan business. And then we landed the spot in Benson, and people told us we wouldn't do well there, which just continues to blow my mind. You won't get any foot traffic. I still hear that.
That's hilarious.
What?
Benson is like one of the most walking communities in Omaha.
You're not on the Maple you're not on the Benson, the strip. You're not on Maple. So the parking lot is right across the street from us. You have to park and walk by our shop. Like, all of our business is just foot traffic, people walking by and smelling cookies. That's how people find us.
Yeah. Benson has been really welcoming. The community has come out and introduced themselves, and everyone is really friendly, very supportive too. It is really interesting. People still to this day come and look at us, and they're like, "Oh, it's so unfortunate you have this spot." And you're like, well, "What are you talking about?"
Yeah.
You just walked in here to tell me that. But we're still getting used to the run of things. There's like events every few weeks and first Fridays, and the possibilities are endless. There's things being planned all the time we don't even know about yet. Anything else, like all the other options we looked at before,
like strip mall. You have to drive to get there.
It would have been really convenient to, people who maybe live in West Omaha who unfortunately can't visit us quite as often, but, it is what it is. Not every neighborhood or area is going to be receptive to a business like ours.
Benson has definitely been like open arms to us. We know all of our neighbors. There's a huge community in Benson for, dietary people. People are aware. There's a lot of vegan options in Benson. Like, almost every restaurant in Benson has something. And we love that. Very inclusive community. So all the other places that didn't work out, that I was probably really upset about and spent a lot of time and energy to try to get us in there, didn't work out for a reason, and I'm really glad it didn't.
Well, you make a great point that, you guys you're not directly on the Maple Street Benson path, so if somebody's just driving down Maple, they might not see your restaurant. But if they're stopping in Benson, there's a pretty good chance they're going to park in that parking lot off 61st Street, or they're at least going to look there and see if there's a spot, and who's right across the street then. They literally, to go to another Benson establishment or business, they have to walk by your doors.
Yep.
Which, that works out.
We see everybody, too. Like, Matt, he has his window right there. Like, hey, there's your photographer friend. Where's she going? Hey, come get a cookie when you're done going to shop or whatever you're doing in Benson. We see everybody. Yeah. If you come to Benson, we see you, and you should probably come in and say hi.
Fair enough.
I think one of my biggest achievements of 2024, we got a 15-minute parking space.
Yeah.
Right outside of our door. That was our biggest gripe from people wanting to do pickup, takeout. Because everything's packaged to go automatically, but they have to find a parking space to come in and get their order. So like 3 months and a stack of paperwork later, the city of Omaha put up our 15-minute sign right outside of our door, and it has been a game changer.
Because you guys, I mean, you have a small restaurant. There's, 3 or 4 tables in there, so most of your orders are to go. Yeah, I can only imagine having those spaces dedicated to you where somebody doesn't have to find a spot to park and walk over. Yeah, that'd be absolutely huge. So I want to take you guys back a little bit. November 23rd of 2023 is your first day in business in the brick and mortar. When I bring up that date, what pops to the front of your brain? What memory stands out most?
That Grateful Dead song you played, the first song played in our restaurant, made me cry.
Uncle John's band.
Yeah.
It was Stacie's family was there.
Can I tell you how much money we had in our bank account the day we opened?
Go for it.
$76. I spent down, I was cutting pennies in half to get us open. It was
also no savings.
No, yeah, we open. We don't have investors. We don't have family money. We don't have any. We built Veg.Edible with our customers' support and just us. Door dashing for the first 8 months of the business when we weren't cooking, because somebody has to pay the bills. Like we have to pay our bills. It was so exciting. Looking back on it, like I was just crying all day of how happy I was. Like I was taking pictures with every customer that came through, and like people still remember that. Like our first customer ever was in the other night, and he loves that he was our first customer ever. He always reminds us that he was.
It's funny because the first time we saw him, he was in like a little kind of not a fancy car, but yesterday he pulled up in like a super fancy lifted pickup truck, and it's like, okay, there's the glow up. This is nice.
Like we know our customers, like by name, by allergy. I know what allergies people have. Like I got a little file in my head. Just the support was overwhelming that day that we overcame all the financial stuff, getting all the equipment there, all the paperwork, all the licenses, and we did it. We opened our shop, and it felt so good to have people come in and order whatever they wanted on the menu.
Is that what keeps you going?
Yes, purely that. Like adrenaline, but like whatever else you want to call it, like local love, I guess. I don't work as much as I do just because I like that. I don't do it because of that. I do it because of our customers. Yeah.
Okay, I want to talk about one very famous customer, and that was Billie Eilish.
Oh my gosh.
Who is a vegan.
Yeah.
And she had a concert here in Omaha in November of 2024, and you guys were somehow chosen to serve them while they were in town, serve them a meal. Like, how did that come to be?
Crazy. We're going to make a sign of all the celebrities that we've made food for, because it's kind of a lot.
Oh, really?
Just in the last year. Like, Fall Out Boy came into the shop. Like,
seriously?
my favorite band came, and, like, I made Fall Out Boy cookies. It was so cool. And, yeah, we got to feed Billie Eilish. It was the night of the Best of Omaha Awards. We had just gotten home, and we were really tired. And it was, like, 10 o'clock at night, and I got an email from Chad Sarno, who is one of the co-founders of Wicked Foods. They're like a shelf-stable brand of vegan food that you can get at the grocery store. Huge brand. I got a message from him asking if I could hop on a call real quick because he wanted us to feed Billie Eilish when she comes to Omaha. So at like 10 o'clock at night, and I immediately thought it was like a scam or something, because like, what? And I was like, yeah, I have a second to hop on a call. 11 o'clock at night, let's go. And he told us that Billie wanted our whoopie pies. and our apple cider donuts and whatever food we wanted to make. I was crying. Like, Matt and I were just sitting on the couch like, is this really happening right now?
We were sitting at home playing Halo, and we were actually just kind of, we didn't have the best night that day, and things just weren't really what we had expected, and we just weren't really feeling that great about the night we just had. And we came home trying to, make ourselves feel better, and
total 180.
that just happened.
Yeah.
And, it was just really affirming about.
We got the attention of a giant food brand. So Chad Sarno is Billie's food coordinator for her tour. So Billie's vegan, and at every tour stop on the Hit Me Hard and Soft tour, she turns the concession stands to vegan.
Oh, wow.
And has full vegan catering and implements eco-friendly things that an event center usually wouldn't. No plastic water bottles, bring your own water bottle to refill. Composting, recycling bins everywhere, educational things of how much carbon did this tour spend, just a lot of effort into the eco part, which is really appreciated. And so leaving the food up to us, I started scrambling, what does she eat? And Matt immediately, lasagna. Have you had our lasagna?
I've not.
I can't even eat our lasagna because I can't have tomatoes. We made a carinara lasagna the other night.
Yes.
It was so
Great
good.
Company.
Carrot marinara sauce, genius. But our lasagna is doesn't matter what food you can't have or what restrictions you have, the lasagna is for you. It's so good. So apple cider donuts, chocolate whoopie pies, and lasagna is what we were serving. So just going back and forth with Chad, with Wicked Foods Kitchen, coordinating everything. It was so smooth and professional and so supportive. At every tour stop, Billie hires a local vegan restaurant to do the catering. So Chicago Diner did a couple nights before us. To be on the same level as Chicago Diner, who's been in business for 20 years, that's the vegan place in Chicago. For us to be recognized, to be good enough to feed Billie Eilish, just a dream come true.
Isn't she allergic to gluten as
Yeah,
well?
she also can't have wheat. She's not celiac, but she can't have gluten, which I didn't even know. I knew she was vegan because she's very loud about it. But who else is going to feed her in Omaha, our little niche, nailed it.
I mean, that right there is just a testament to how far you guys have come. And I know, I shouldn't even say that I know because I don't really know, but you've kind of talked about how you've had to pinch pennies and how you've had to DoorDash, how you've had to hustle and grind for every second of this. And you're going to have to continue to, feeding a couple famous people is not going to change your reality completely, but it's going to help. And that's validation that you're doing something right. When customers come in and you get those repeat customers and you get the comments that, oh, I finally get to have chocolate cake again.
Mm-hmm.
That's validation. And I hope that you guys feel that. And in those moments when there's 30 tickets on the line or there's no customers in the store and you're just what are we doing with our lives? I hope that it's those moments that you guys are able to come back to and draw inspiration from because you deserve it. And you're something very unique in Omaha. And we're, as a city, grateful to have you guys here doing what you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you. I have a lot of mental breakdowns because it's hard. It's so stressful. owning the brick and mortar for the last year, like the stress that my body has endured, like I can physically tell. And not saying he's not stressed, he just doesn't show it as much as I do.
He doesn't show it?
He does not show
He's
it.
such an expressive face.
No. He's just chill all the time, even if he's not. Yeah, I have to remember that I made a cake for a kid that had 56 food allergies. I did that. Like, those little accomplishments and giant feats are seriously what keeps us going.
That's awesome. Omaha, I mean, if you are vegan or you have some sensitivities, you can't eat gluten, can't eat wheat, whatever it might be, check these guys out. 61st and Maple and Benson. This is your place. Even if it doesn't matter, even if you have no restrictions whatsoever, you are a meat eater to the nth degree, come check these guys out because they just serve great food. I am happy to endorse it any day of the week. Matt and Stacie, thank you so much for coming on the podcast again. We'll have to have you on again in 2 more years when you're just this national brand or something. I don't know, but you've grown so much in that time. You're just going to keep growing, I think, and thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having us, Dan.
Omaha, as always, thanks for eating with us.